Hey there, welcome back. Now in this lecture, let us discuss about status code. So here in the previous lecture, we discussed about this delete function and we are deleting our object. That is done, but we need to send a response. What we can do at this point of time, whenever we don't have any response or whenever we do anything, we need to send a status code. So entire web is dependent on these different type of status code. Maybe when we visit any page, we are going to have a status code of 200, which is successful. Then there are different type of status code. You might know about 404, which is page not found. And this is pretty common. If I try to visit any page of my own website or maybe our current server, I'm going to get this error, which is 404. Now there are different status code that we can define for our own URL. What I'm going to do is, after deleting any object, I'm going to return a response in the form of status code. So here I'm going to send status, and since we have deleted, what we can do is we can send a status of 204. But since we are using Django REST framework, we have option to import all the status code that we are going to work. So just jump here, go to your API guide, scroll down, select the status code. Here you will get more information how we can do this. So if we have deleted anything, what we can do is this page is going to be empty. If I delete this 2, after deleting this 2, my page is going to be empty, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a response in the form of this no content. There is no content. So I can just return this status as HTTP 204 no content. So if I scroll down a bit, this one is best for us right now for our delete status. So this one we are going to send HTTP 204 no content. We need to select the status class dot. Okay, this is fine. Now if I jump back here and if I discuss how we are going to use this status class, we need to import it. Yep. Let me import it at the top. So now if I'm going to delete something, I'm going to send a response in the form of status. If we get this response, that means we have successfully deleted. Let me jump here. So this is our 2. Let me try to delete this one. Let me visit my URL. So if I open my URL, which is movie/2, so this is the page. Currently this is our status code, which is HTTP 200 OK. If you jump here, usually anything start with 2 is going to be about successful. It can be about successful. Some object is created. If we send a post request, if we send a get request, there is something that we have received, which is okay. If we are doing something reset content, we have several requests, so you get to use them after a certain period of time. There are chances that most of these are extras which you are not going to use. They have very specific case, like this is 307 temporary redirect or 308 permanent redirect. So these are specific one. I will be discussing few of them, but for now let us test our delete status first. So this is 2. Click on delete, send a delete request. Now the object is deleted. Now we have this 204 no content. If I jump here, go to my movies, you can see there is no movie now. It's just one. So that's how you are going to do. Now we can include status code for every single request. So suppose this is our get request. What we can do is we can define a status code. This is 200 OK. If we are doing a put request, we can define a status code for our error also, that if we find this content or not. So there are different type of status code that we can define. Here let me define a status code for error, which is going to be our bad request. So if I jump here, 2 is popular for successful. So you are going to use these 2 or 3 only. Then we have 3, which is popular for redirection. So if our website is permanently moved, we are going to use 301. If we have moved our website for temporary, or if a page is moved temporary, we are going to use 307. If a page is moved permanently, we are going to use 308. And if we have any error on client side that a page is not found, that means client has entered wrong URL. Or if there is any error with login, then we are going to have unauthorized. There are different things. Then maybe we have server errors, that is error from our side, then it is 500 internal server error, and there are a lot more. So if we have storage issue, we have 507. So we can define each status according to our own requirement. Let us define few of them here. So if we are going to get an error, what I can do is I can define a status here, which is going to be equals to status, and the HTTP request which I'm going to send is 400 bad request, something like this, because we receive an error. Okay, that's it. Same thing I can follow here. If we send a GET request, it is going to be 200 by default. So if I jump here and if I try to access one, it's a 200 by default. Here I can define my own, but 200 by default is okay. Now here we can add an interesting condition. Suppose what we are doing is we are trying to find a specific ID and that ID is not available. Suppose I am trying to access maybe 15. So currently we don't have any ID 15, we just have one object which is 1. If I try to access it, there is no matching query. So what we should do is we should return a 404. So that means if I jump here, if I receive a GET request, or if I simply, since this movie object is used in all of them, what I can do is I can take this as common, or I can add a condition, try and accept condition. So this is going to be try, and if we try to find this movie, then it's okay, everything is going to work fine. Otherwise we are going to use except, we are going to use movie dot doesn't exist. We are going to raise an exception, and here I can send a response in the form of error code. So I can simply return a response. I don't have any serialization data here. So if this condition has happened, if this is the case, if this movie doesn't exist, what we are going to do is we are going to send a error, and then inside that we can send message, and then we can also define a status. So here I am simply defining maybe error and movie not found. It's a good error. And then what I can do is the second element as status 404, but remember we have status code properly, which is 404 not found. This looks fine. What we did is we sent our response in the form of dictionary JSON, and this is our status code. Let me see if this is working fine. Let me jump here, try to refresh this one. Okay, I need to use status here. This is fine. Let me refresh this one. Okay, so this is our custom message, but here the important thing is this HTTP code. So here we are sending an error, which is movie not found. This looks fine. Now I hope you got the idea what we are trying to do. We are just trying to access a particular element. If we do some task, we are going to send a response. And if the response is successful, we are trying to send status code in the form of 200. If there is an error, we are going to send a response in the form of 400, and so on. So that's it. That's all about delete option. That's all about our try and accept. And that's all about our status code. I hope you got the idea. Now we can use this status code at different position, but my main motive was to introduce you to this concept. Now in the next lecture, let us also explore different other paths of views as well as serializers. I hope now you are comfortable with this API view. Right now I strongly recommend don't move forward with other lectures. Try to practice everything that we did till now, because currently we have a small model. We haven't added much more complications. in future we are going to create some relationship. We are going to talk about Postman, which is third-party software by which we are going to access our API now. Currently we are just using this browsable API. Also these views are going to get complicated. Currently we are just using this decorator and it's pretty easy right now. Even our serializer is simplified. So what I recommend is pause the series for now and practice the same content that we did. This will help you to understand everything. I try to do a lot of mistakes so you can replicate everything and know each and every single thing. That's all. From the next lecture, let us also explore different views as well as serializers. Remember, till now we just explored about function-based views. We also need to discuss class-based views and then move towards the model serializer. Thank you for following. I hope this lecture was helpful and I see you guys in the next one.